Hi there folks, and welcome back to my channel. For this video I am back in the town of Paisley, and I'm actually going to be going somewhere that I have previously visited and filmed at. And I think I actually did a video here when I think it was towards the start of the channel, because I think the video I actually uploaded about 5-6 years ago. So where I'm going to be going to is the Paisley Abbey, because I know that some people have made the comment that some of the audio in the first video that I did wasn't that clear. It was a bit quiet, they couldn't quite make out what I was saying. So I thought, well, I'd come back and have another little walk around the Abbey and give you all another little tour of the building itself. And again, it is like the oldest building in the town. It pretty much kind of dominates the town centre. So if you're in Paisley, definitely somewhere to visit and spend some time in. Again, it's a couple minute walk from Paisley Gilmer Street station, so it's really easy to get to, really easy to find, and again, it is quite a dominant building. It's really easy to spot and does have a lot of history and archaeology. So I'll be heading over in just seconds to have a little wander around. Before I do head over, if you enjoy my channel, if you enjoy my videos, if you can click on the subscribe button, click on that notification bell, leave some likes, leave some comments, it's always really appreciated. And if you'd like to support the channel further, I will post a link to the channel's coffee.com page, the channel's PayPal account and the TikTok account in the description bar below and in a pinned comment in the comment section. Before I go any further, do kind of ignore the voice, because I am just getting over a cold. I think this might be towards the end of it, so yeah, I might sound a bit breathless during the video. Yeah, it's just because, yeah, bloody cold. But I will just be grabbing things in a second and walking over to the Abbey. So there's the Abbey right there. This is me looking at it from, this is Bridge Street. So this is looking at it from the south face, because on the left hand side of the screen, that's the west side of the building, and the right side of the screen, that's the east side of the building. That's pretty much in a nice Swiss alignment. Yeah, it's always really nice seeing the blossom out, even better on a nice warm sunny day like today. So I think after I'd actually posted that video, or the initial video that I did here, there was a bit of a stir online in relation to the Abbey, because people were realising that one of the gargoyles on the nave, which is like the oldest bit of the building, is actually in the form of a xenomorph, and it is known as the alien gargoyle. And there's a lot of people were sitting like, oh my god, there's an alien gargoyle on a 13th century building. And a lot of people didn't seem to realise that there is an alien gargoyle. But the alien gargoyle is actually a 20th century addition to the building, because they actually had to replace some of the gargoyles because of erosion. Like some of the gargoyles had actually been that badly eroded, that badly damaged, they had to be replaced. Yeah, so to stop there, there's the guys are out cutting the grass, and one of the guys was obviously going to go and by with one of the lawnmowers. It was getting a bit noisy, but I can actually show you whereabouts of the building the alien gargoyle actually is. Once you know what it is, it's really easy to spot. So you look towards the tower and you'll see the gargoyles on the nave just below. So you count to the fourth one from the tower. Try and zoom in a wee bit. So we've got the one right at the tower, and it's the fourth one from that. So try and get my finger out the wood. It's that one there. So if I can get, I don't think I can get in any closer, but hopefully you can make it out. So this is coming into the cloister. So There is quite a lot of the abbey that has been reconstructed, because again the Reformation's happens, bits of this building falling into ruin, and were kind of left to open to the elements for centuries and have been reconstructed and rebuilt. And I think this section here is one of them. And unfortunately, there was actually another building on that bit of the cloister, but during the restoration work, it was unfortunately torn down. And you do get information boards as you're walking in. Yeah, so if you're interested, the Paisley Abbey does actually have a direct connection to the Royal House of Stuart, because it was Walter, who was the High Steward of Scotland. On his descendants married the daughter of Robert the Bruce, and it was their son that became Robert II. So this abbey actually has direct connections to the present day royal family. But the Cloisters always quite a peaceful little spot. So the gift shop is in there. That's actually in the ground floor of the Place of Paisley, which is the house that is on the side of the church. That in there is St Marin's Chapel, which is the Wayside Chapel. I think I used to be able to film in there before, but then now having that is kind of off limits for filming. I think that's because that's supposed to be the wee kind of quiet spot for people to go and have some quiet time. And this is the way into the main body of the kirk itself. Yeah, I always love these ceilings. You can see the ceiling bosses, quite colourfully painted. I think a lot of people forget that all these buildings, they now look all dark and a bit dreary, but they would have had all this bright stonework, and parts of it would have been painted as well. Probably would have been quite gaudy and bright by our standards. I do have a lot of information about the history of the building. Again, its connection to the Stuarts. Yeah, and Robert II was supposed to be born here. We also have this here, which is the Baroque cross, which used to be located out at Houston, but it's been moved in here in order to try and keep it out of the weather and preserve it. I think it's 9th century, if I'm not mistaken. And the window behind it is the Wallace window. And you can see the Wallace family crest at the bottom section of the window, because William Wallace was supposed to have been educated here in the Paisley Abbey, or in the monastery that the abbey was once part of. He's able to get closer to the cross, but they've also kind of roped it off to try and protect it a bit more. So people are obviously not up touching it. And again, this is probably the best view in the whole church, I think. Just looking up towards the reconstructed choir. Again, I'll explain that when I get up there, but that's being totally rebuilt. But still gorgeous. So if you're ever wondering how you get from the present day royal family back to the Stuarts, is because they end up going down from James VI and first through his daughter and to the Georges, and all the way down to obviously Elizabeth and now Charles. And for all the Americans out there, John Witherspoon, who was one of the signatories of the Declaration of Independence, has a memorial plaque here. He was actually a minister at the Lake Kirk in Paisley, which is now the Arts Centre. Yeah, so that section over there, which takes it down to the Wallace window, and the west wall of the church is actually the oldest bit of the church itself. That's 13th century. The section in just now is 15th century, but in 1550s the original tower collapsed and took out the choir. So the tower we have now is actually 19th century, and the choir was rebuilt in the 20th century. And you'll notice that there's some steps to take you up to the choir itself. Originally the choir would have been on the same level as the rest of the church, but after the original choir was destroyed and the tower collapsed, the nave was sealed off and used as the parish church of Paisley after the Reformation. And this section here was all used as a graveyard. So when they rebuilt the choir, they kept all the burials in place and built the choir around them. So what was the graveyard is now within the church itself. You can see some of the gravestones. Some of the carvings on the actual choir stall, quite intricate. These wee angels. And if you actually look at these little sections here, you'll see there's animals and birds carved into the wood, and some flowers. You've got the bits up there. And that over there, as I said in the original video, is probably my most favourite window in this whole church. It's just when you see the light coming through it, it just seems even more gorgeous. I've got the famous Paisley Abbey organ. Seriously, I've heard that being played, and if you can hear it being played, you'll love it. So it's the Royal Stuart coat of arms. And of course this is Princess Marjorie's tomb. And as I did say in the previous video, this is actually empty, so this is more of a memorial rather than where she's buried. As legend states, she did die within the monastery after being thrown from her horse, and is buried somewhere within the Abbey grounds, but no one knows where she's buried. And again, with the urban sprawl of Paisley having taken over most of the Abbey's grounds, probably will never find where she's actually buried. But we do have this memorial to her here. And as I pointed out in the video that I did the last time I was here, you can see the ceiling bosses telling Bible stories. So we've got Adam and Eve, Noah, we've got Alpha and the Omega. Then we've got Job, Moses, all the big ones. And obviously the stunning east window. Yeah, so if you're not wanting to crank your neck looking up at the ceiling, I do have this wee mirror here. It's on wheels, so you can use that to look at the bosses without hurting your neck. We've got another little memorial here. To Robert III, who would have been the grandson of Marjorie and the great-grandson of Robert the Bruce. And it has the royal coat of arms of Scotland, the lion rampant, and Scotland's national motto. And this was actually unveiled by Queen Victoria when she visited in 1888. And they do have a wee museum in what would have been the sacristy. And this is some of the finds that were found in the Abbey drain. And go in this chamber pot. And that bit of slate there actually has music written on it, which has been dated to 1450. And is the oldest example of written music found in Scotland. And they do have this memorial here for when James IV came to Paisley Abbey, the monastery of Paisley, to get papal absolution for the part that he played in his father's death. And even though most of this bit of the building is modern, or at least 20th century, they have tried to at least preserve some of the older sections that survived the collapse of the tower and the destruction of the choir. Including this section here, which is where like the abbot and some of the more senior monks would have sat during services. Usually with these, you can only get 3 of them, but here at Paisley we've got 4, which is a bit of a rarity. And you can tell this stone is older because it's been, again, it's black. It's been blackened because of like weather and pollution, because all that's about to being outside and exposed to the elements. And then got the more recent stonework surrounding it. And obviously this here is the high altar. and is obviously flanked by these two lights that are held by angels. You can still read some of the old gravestones that have been placed within the floor of the choir. So this is looking down for the choir, back into the nave, again the oldest bit of the church. Or one of the oldest bits of the church, because I think the St Mun's Chapel dates back to the 13th century as well.
Morning, ladies. Morning.
You can also get a guided tour of the Abbey. I think it's Tuesdays and Thursdays. You can obviously book in advance, especially if you're in a group. I think if you're just coming by yourself, or maybe there's a couple of you, if you come along either on those days at 2 o'clock, pay £5, you get a guided tour. Well, that's it back at the car from a visit to the Paisley Abbey. Again, it's always one of those places that I always love going back to, love revisiting. And again, with it being right in the centre of Paisley, with it being so close to Gilmore Street Station, with the buses going right by it, because even on this side of the building and on the Goss Street side of the building, there's regular buses that are going by that are stopping, so really easy to get to. And again, if you're in the town centre, it's really easy to walk to. It's free entry, and yeah, and again, the only thing you have to pay for would be if you're going on the tour, the guided tour. And again, with so many buildings like that, they are relying on donations, they are relying on what they're making from the gift shop, and that all goes towards keeping that building going and keeping it open. But again, that building is just filled with so much history, and yeah, and I do think it is often overlooked, in comparison to places like Glasgow Cathedral. But again, Paisley Abbey's played its part in Scottish history, and it's definitely worth visiting. So hopefully you will have enjoyed this video. Hopefully, if you're in the area, you go along and visit the Abbey and have a nice visit. So hopefully I'll see you all in the next video. Bye bye.